This is a question I got from a good friend. Is it possible to create category targeting using bulk files? The answer is yes. The long answer is it's a little bit more complicated to create either new campaigns or add category targeting into existing product targeting campaigns. So that is what I'm going to be walking through with you today, as well as I'm going to have the ability for you to get links to a resource for all of the stuff that I covered today. So quickly, let's dig into it. So I told you that there was two different things that you could do when it came to creating category targeting for your products. One, you can either create a brand new campaign, which some of you all might want to do, but you might want to go through and add category targeting to an existing product targeting campaign in the account. So first, I'm going to walk through how you would go through and create a new campaign, the things that you would want, the templates, and sort of how you would go about getting the information that we're going to be covering today. And then if you have existing campaigns, how do you add product targeting to those? Because that workflow is slightly more simple, but then you also need to go and get additional information. Well, let's dig into the first one, right? So how do we go about creating a new campaign and then adding category targeting to it? So this is going to go over essentially how you would create a new campaign using the new formatted bulk file. So we're going to go through that, and then we'll go through the specific line item that actually creates category targeting within this new campaign. But actually, these three things that you need to create are going to be the same for any new campaign that you launch using the new bulk file format, and the old format is going to be sunsetted. So this information is actually going to be super important to those of you who are maybe looking to get into the new 2.0 work file. So what you have to do is create three things that you have to create anyway when you go and do things manually. So you're going to have to create the campaign, you're going to have to create an ad group inside of that campaign, and then you're going to have to add what's called a product ad, or essentially your SKUs to that campaign to say, hey, these are the products I want to advertise. And then what you can do is go the next step to create the category targeting, or if you're creating, say, keyword targeting or general ASIN targeting, put the different keywords, put the category targets that you want into the specific campaign and the specific ad group you've already created. So first off, let's go through these three things starting at the campaign level. And I can actually give you access to this template if you would like. I've highlighted the things that you are going to want to edit for yourself, but then there's other things like this product or the entity or this operation column that are going to remain the same. So what you want to on this campaign creation is this entity column is going to tell you the type of thing that you're creating. Essentially, this product just simply said it's sponsored products, so we know that this is a sponsored product ad. Of course, it's going to be a difference if it's a sponsored display ad, etc. But right now we're just going through sponsored products to keep it simple. And then the operations column, we're saying, hey, I want to create this, I want to make this. There's two different operations that you should be familiar with. One of them is create, meaning, hey, I want to make something new, or you can use the operation update and, hey, something is already existing in the account and I want to make changes to it. So in the essence of, say, example would be bid optimizations. Hey, I want to update something. I'm not adding something to the account. I'm simply going to update it. So what you're going to want to do for this creation of the campaign, and we're going to go through the highlighted options, is under the campaign ID and also the campaign name, you're going to need to give your campaign a name. Now this campaign ID, if you download a bulk file, you're going to see a numeric value or a number in the campaign ID, and that changes. But upon creation of the campaign name and the campaign ID are going to be exactly the same. So you might want to fill out this campaign name column first before you copy over the campaign ID. But in essence, we're going to give this campaign a name. So here I've just put campaign name, and then you're going to take that exact, it has to be exact, and you're going to copy it down the campaign ID column for all of the rows. And this tells Amazon, hey, I want to put all of these things. So in this case, this is the ad group. The product ad is a SKU or the products that we're putting into this ad group. And then the product targeting is going to be the category targeting that we want to add into this ad group. But it's saying, hey, all this stuff goes into this new campaign that I'm creating. The other thing that you will have to give this campaign is a start date. Now they have a very particular format that they want the start date to go in, and that is you have to put it in this exact format. So it has to be the year and then the month in 2 digits and then the day in 2 digits. Now you can actually create a start date that is in the future. So for example, if I wanted to say upload this campaign today, but I wanted the start date to, the campaign to actually go live maybe next Monday, then I could put a future start date. There are certain times where you would want to put a future start date. For the most part, you want to put today's date so the campaign can go live immediately. One thing to note is you cannot put a past start date. So for instance, if I created this file today and then I got busy and I couldn't upload it and I went and uploaded it tomorrow, if today's date, which tomorrow will be yesterday's date, is in the start date, your file is not going to go through and the campaign will not be created. Now the targeting type on this is specified manual. Again, if you're just using this as a template, that is going to be the same. The state is going to be enabled, meaning I want this to be active. And then the other thing that you're going to want to edit for yourself is the daily budget. So what daily budget do we want to give this particular campaign? And then you're going to have to specify the bidding strategy. Now here we have dynamic bids down only. You can choose bids up and down or fixed bids if you like to change that. And then that is all we need to create our campaign. So essentially we've created our campaign. Now we need to create our ad group, which is going to go inside of our campaign. So for this, we are going to create a line item with the entity ad group. And again, you can just copy and paste this here. Our campaign name is going to be whatever campaign name that we've selected here when we set up the campaign. So again, that tells Amazon, hey, this ad group goes into this campaign. And then you're going to do something very similar for the ad group name and the ad group ID. So essentially you're going to give this an ad group name, and then you're going to copy this ad group name all the way down the ad group ID column where you need to specify what this particular thing, where it sits in terms of ad groups. Now you'll notice that the ad group ID column is blank at the campaign level because a campaign doesn't sit inside the entity of an ad group name. And so we don't need to have that one, but we do need to copy the ad group name down for any of our ad group lines, as well as for any product ads or like essentially our SKUs that we're going to be adding into this. And then we need to copy it down into, again, whatever targeting, in this case, category targeting that we are creating. All right. So we do that. And then we have, again, state is enabled here. The other thing that you do need to set is an ad group default bid. Now I haven't highlighted this because when you set a bid at the individual target level, so again, in this case, it's going to be a category targeting, that is going to override your ad group default bid. So in a lot of ways, as long as you're putting a specific bid on something, the ad group default bid does not matter. In a lot of ways, it's somewhat like a placeholder. So I haven't highlighted this, but if you would like, you may go through and set a different ad group default bid, but that is required to create the ad group. And so when we're done with that, that is essentially all we have to do to create an ad group. So that is pretty simple. Now, the next thing we need to do is add the products that we would like to advertise into our ad group. So there's actually even fewer things needed for this product ad. So again, the entity product ad, we have to let Amazon know what thing we are creating on the slide item. Again, operation is create. Campaign name and ad group name, we should have just dragged down. Enabled is going to essentially say that this thing is enabled inside of the ad group. We don't want to pause it. We want it to be active. And then we have to put the SKU. Now, if you are a 3P seller or using Seller Central, you're going to put the SKU. This will be slightly different if you are a Vendor Central. You'll want to specify the ASIN, but that's really the only difference when it comes to bulk files in Vendor Central versus Seller Central. And that is all you need for the SKU level. Now, I do want to demonstrate really quickly what happens if I wanted to advertise more than one product in this ad group with whatever keywords, etc. I'm creating. What you would want to do in that case, so I'm going to insert one below, and all you would have to do is you would copy this line. So in this case, I'm creating one campaign with one ad group, but I'm adding more than one product to this. I'm still going to copy down the campaign name, the ad group name, all of this. I still want, the second product to be enabled. The only difference is here, I would have SKU 1 and then I would want SKU 2. So these two SKUs would be different, saying I want to put a new SKU more than one in this campaign. So each individual SKU you would like to add needs its own row. But other than that, it's quite simple. So for instance, if I had, say 4 products I wanted to be advertising here, I would just create 4 exact rows, and then I would just take the list of 4 SKUs and then I would just copy and paste them down the 4 rows, and it's as easy peasy as that. Now, the very last thing, and this is where it's going to get slightly complicated when it comes to category targeting, and you're going to need to go and find some very specific IDs, but I'm going to actually show you where you can get those in Amazon and where you can actually go download a list of them. But we are going to go over kind of all of the lines that we need or the columns that we need to fill out when it comes to the category. And then I'm going to get very specific and show you kind of like what you'll actually enter and the options that you have when it comes to specifying and targeting categories. So for this, we're going to do, again, sponsored products. We're carrying this down. We're doing product targeting because category targeting is product targeting. So we are specifying it's that type of targeting. One thing to note is it's very similar to the way your regular ad console works. You cannot add product targeting to a keyword targeting ad group. That is not going to work. So in the second step where we go through and we're just going to, hey, let's add category targeting to an existing campaign and ad group. That's not going to work if you have keywords being targeted in that ad group. It will work if you have product targeting in that ad group. So that is something to know. Again, we're creating this. We're simply copying down the campaign names. We're saying, hey, it's located within this campaign. It's located within this ad group. And then we want the state to be enabled. And then we are going to put whatever we would like to bid. So a specific bid for this particular category. So this is the last step that you need to do, is specify which category you would like to target. So in this place, we have category equals 9, which is essentially the browse node for that particular category. Now, sort of the complexity and the issues when it comes to category targeting is actually being able to get this browse node somewhere. You need to be able to access this and actually know, because honestly, I don't know what category 9 even means. And where you can kind of find this is if you go into the documentation for creating a product targeting, you can see to target product area, category, and price. So we're going to go over this in a second. I'm going to show you, if you were to launch these manually, your options when it comes to sort of what's called refining of the category. But you need the category ID. And where in the world are you supposed to find the category IDs? So one of the tips that Amazon has is, hey, if you've already targeted a category inside of your account, well, then you can actually download the bulk file and you can filter for those specific rows in your bulk file, and you can just look at what you've already targeted and just kind of grab the category ID there. And while that is a useful tip, what happens if you want to launch a bunch of category targeting for categories like from scratch instead of already having to do it manually and then redoing it maybe for a different product or something? Where do you find these category IDs? So I'm going to share with you a pro tip as to where you would find these category IDs. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through these potential refinements, and I'm going to quickly walk you through some documentation and sort of what is possible. And again, all of these links, I will actually be creating a resource. You can go somewhere, enter an email. I'll send you the resource with all of these downloadable options along with this particular template. So where do you get these category IDs? You actually get them from the browse tree guide for specific category. I ran across this because at one point trying to go down the rabbit hole and like figure out how in the world do I launch these things. And I realized that you can have sort of like these browse nodes or this browse tree guide for the specific categories, and you can actually download these templates. Now, Amazon does specify that they don't allow public release of these templates. So the best I can do is I'm going to give you access to the link so you can go through and you can find this yourself. But what you would want to do is you would want to navigate. So this is your inventory, if you know where inventory file templates are, and style guidelines and browse tree guides. This browse tree guides is actually where you go through and you can get these lists. And what you're going to have to do is you're going to download the browse tree guide for each of these specific categories. So for this one, here's the file template. This is the automotive and power sports browse tree guide. So what I did is I downloaded the baby browse tree guide, and I'm just going to kind of show you what that looks like. So all you have to do is you click this and it will automatically download it to your computer. So this is what it looks like when you open it up. So you'll see some instructions. Again, this is really to help with your, like if you're putting together listings or flat files, but you can also use this in your campaign launches. So what this looks like if you open it up, there's a whole lot of, you see these node IDs and you can see the node paths. So it's very similar to how if you opened up your campaign builder and you wanted to select a particular category, I would say, okay, I wanted to target arts and crafts, crafts and sewing. So you can sort of sub down into the category. It's very similar, and you can see that right here, you'll see this slash, and you're kind of drilling down into the category. So this node ID is actually what you want to copy and then put that into this category targeting right here. For instance, if I wanted to target this particular category, I would copy this, and then this is the formatting that I would need. I would need category equals, and then I would simply put whatever the node ID or, the category ID into the quotation marks of this in this product targeting expressions column, and that is how I would add category targeting to this particular campaign. Now, what about refinement? Because there is the option, if you go into the campaign builder and I was saying, okay, I want arts and crafts and sewing, how do I go through and refine? I would say, hey, I want to specify that there is, minimum cost of say $25. I don't want to target products underneath $25, and I don't want to target products that have more than say 4-star, right? And one thing to note is as you refine, I'm not going to get into strategy really, the more you refine, the less potential products you can show up on, but the more hyper targeted and maybe more relevant they will be, or more your product's going to be more appealing if you show up on those particular product pages. So that can be helpful. You can also specify shipping, like, hey, I only want to show up on like non-Prime eligible options because I'm Prime eligible, and so that's going to be more appealing to shoppers. And there's all kinds of things you can do with this. But how do you actually specify that if you are going to launch in a bulk file? And this is what I'm going to give you here. Again, this is going to be linked in the resource. So if you want that, feel free to go and enter in an email, get that resource here. But what you're going to do is you can go and refine this. So this is ASIN. This is if you're doing ASIN targeting. But what if you wanted to do category targeting brand? Now, brand same as is a little bit different because I haven't really figured out a way that you can get sort of the brand ID for brands other than your own. So that's not particularly going to work. And that one's going to be a little bit harder because if you go in manually, you can select, hey, I want to make sure I'm targeting this particular brand, which you can see they don't have any products that are eligible that meet these other criteria here. So I might want to get rid of that. But in this case, right, so they only have one product, but I don't know what this ID is. If you want to specifically target a brand, what you could do is again, create this manually and then go download the bulk file and find that brand ID based on, what's already appearing and visible inside of your existing campaigns via bulk file. That is an option for you. However, you can do a lot more refinements when it comes to prices less than. So this is the formatting for this. So I want to say price is less than $10. Price is between. So price equals 10 to 20. So between $10 and $20. Price is greater than, 10, 25, whatever you want. So it's saying, hey, this category, or I want to say rating is less than 4. Rating equals, 4.4 to 4.5. Rating is greater than. Not sure why you would want to do that. But you could do, hey, Prime shipping is eligible is true. And if you wanted to add these together, it's simply taking each of these sort of identifiers, then you just put a space between them, and then you would just kind of add those. So you can get quite specific with your refinement. The one thing I will say is if you're going to get super, super specific with your refinement, the one benefit of doing this manually is it gives you a lot of visibility into sort of how many potential products. So if you're doing like super refinements here, then you may end up like not really targeting any products at all. So that's obviously not going to be visible inside of the bulk file. Okay. But providing we're just doing this category, we're doing no refinements, or let me give you the example of, say, I wanted to do a price refinement. So all I would do is I would, I'm just going to copy this and say, okay, I'm going to click in here, make that space, and then copy in the pricing. And then you would see that when you push this campaign live. Okay. So that is the nuts and bolts of creating a new campaign with category targeting. Again, what you would do is you would save this. You would simply download this spreadsheet and then upload it to bulk operations in your account. And then you should be able to, again, have this campaign be created inside of your account. All right. So that's creating a new campaign. But what if you wanted to add category targeting to an existing campaign? How do you do that? Is there an option to do that? Yes, there is. All you're going to do is create this product targeting line, and you're going to put create, because we don't have to create the new campaign. We're not creating the ad group. Those things already exist. Now, there is an extra data point that you will need to go and find through downloading a bulk file, because there is this campaign ID and this ad group ID that you must have to be able to tell Amazon, hey, it has to go and be created in this campaign in this particular ad group. And remember how in the campaign and the ad group ID columns, when we were creating these, we simply copied down the name. But when your new campaign and your new ad group are created inside of your account, there is a numeric value or a number that is assigned to your campaign name or to your new campaign and your new ad group that you must reference if you are going to make updates or you're going to add something to an existing campaign name or ad group. And how you're going to find that, again, you're going to have to go and download your file, your bulk file. You're going to have to filter. Now, there are campaign name columns. Also, I would recommend there should be a campaign name informational only and ad group name informational only. It's probably the easiest way to find them, but you would want to filter for the exact campaign name and the exact ad group name that you want to, again, put your new category targeting in. And then you have to look at the ID columns and make sure that you copy over those two numbers exactly. Once you have that, then it is very simple. You just have to create all of the things that you created over here when you created the category targeting inside this new campaign. We're simply saying, hey, let's put the same thing. We're putting it in these previous existing ones. So you need to state is going to be enabled, bid, whatever bid you would like. And then the category targeting is, again, whatever categories we would like to target. And then if there's any refinements that you would like. So again, you would have to go and find like the browse tree guide to look at category IDs, and then you would place that into the quotation marks. Any specifications or refinements you want to do, you want to add to the back of that. And then you would simply take this one file, you would go to your bulk operations, and then you can upload that file. And then this category will be created inside of that existing one. So hopefully this is super helpful. I know category targeting, just due to the category IDs, tends to be a little bit more complex, but if you're doing this at scale, this is a really easy way to roll out category targeting. And if you like this video, make sure that you subscribe. If you have any questions, leave a comment, because I plan on doing a lot more training around bulk files because they honestly are the most scalable way to effectively, efficiently, and also cheaply manage accounts.